It was supposed to be just another job interview. Just another chance for a struggling father to hear the words, "We'll let you know." But what happened inside a quiet elevator that morning changed two lives forever. A single dad, exhausted from years of rejection, softly practiced his interview answers, believing no one was paying attention. Standing beside him was a calm woman in an ordinary business suit. He thought she was just another employee rushing to work. He had no idea she was the CEO of the entire company, and every word he spoke was about to change her heart. Before we begin this touching story, don't forget to subscribe to Spread Kindness, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Every act of support helps us share more inspiring stories that remind the world that kindness still exists. Daniel adjusted his worn blue tie as he stared at his reflection in the elevator doors. He had ironed his only dress shirt the night before after putting his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, to bed. It wasn't perfect. The collar was slightly faded, and one cuff had been stitched by hand. But it was clean, and it was all he had. He took a deep breath and quietly whispered to himself. "Good morning. My name is Daniel Carter. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm a hard worker, a fast learner, and I'll do everything I can to help your company grow." He stopped, sighed, and tried again. Daniel felt embarrassed that someone had heard him talking to himself. "I'm sorry," he said with a nervous laugh. "Big interview today. Just trying not to mess it up." The woman smiled warmly. "Nothing wrong with being prepared." Daniel nodded. "I have to get this job. My daughter believes today is going to change everything." The woman glanced at him with quiet interest. "What makes today so important?" Daniel looked at the floor before answering. "My little girl has asthma. The medicine she needs isn't cheap, and my savings are almost gone. She keeps telling me everything will be okay because dads always fix things." He laughed softly, though sadness filled his eyes. "I just hope she's right." The elevator became silent. The woman didn't interrupt him. Instead, she listened. Daniel smiled awkwardly. "Sorry. I guess nerves make me talk too much." She shook her head. "Sometimes people need someone willing to listen." The elevator stopped on the 22nd floor. As Daniel stepped out, the woman simply wished him good luck. "You've got this." He smiled. "Thank you. That means more than you know." Daniel walked toward the reception desk, unaware that several employees had greeted the woman in the elevator with respectful nods after he left. "Good morning, Ms. Harper." She simply smiled and continued walking toward the executive offices. Daniel never heard them call her by name. Inside the waiting room, nervous candidates checked their phones and reviewed resumes. Daniel had no fancy degree. No impressive connections. Just years of honest work, determination, and love for his daughter. When his name was finally called, he entered the conference room. 3 interviewers greeted him politely. Then the final door opened. Daniel nearly froze. The woman from the elevator calmly entered and sat at the center of the table. One interviewer smiled. "Daniel, we'd like you to meet our CEO, Evelyn Harper." His heart nearly stopped. He felt heat rush into his face. "Oh. I'm so sorry if I bothered you earlier." Evelyn smiled gently. "You didn't bother me at all." The interview began. They asked about his experience, teamwork, and problem solving. Daniel answered honestly. Whenever he didn't know something, he admitted it instead of pretending. When asked why he wanted to work there, he paused. "I need a job to support my daughter." Then he added something unexpected. "But I also want to work somewhere that treats people with respect. I believe when employees are valued, customers feel it too." The room became quiet. Evelyn watched him carefully. There was no speech filled with business buzzwords. Just honesty. After the interview ended, Daniel thanked everyone and quietly left. He assumed he would never hear from them again. The next morning, while making pancakes for Lily, his phone rang. "Mr. Carter?" "Yes?" "This is Evelyn Harper." Daniel nearly dropped the spatula. "We'd like to offer you the position." His eyes filled with tears. Before he could respond, Evelyn continued. "But that's not all." She explained that the company had recently started a new employee family assistance program. Lily's medical insurance would begin immediately. The company would also provide flexible hours so Daniel could attend her doctor's appointments. Daniel couldn't speak. Finally, he whispered, "Thank you." Evelyn replied softly, "No, Daniel. Thank you." A week later, Daniel started his new job. He arrived early every morning. Stayed positive. Helped coworkers without being asked. If someone struggled with a heavy box, he helped. If someone looked overwhelmed, he offered encouragement. His kindness spread through the office faster than anyone expected. Months later, Evelyn invited Daniel into her office. She handed him a small framed photograph. It was taken from a security camera inside the elevator. Daniel looked confused. "I almost canceled that interview that morning," Evelyn admitted. "I'd spent weeks reviewing resumes filled with perfect qualifications but very little heart." She smiled. "Then I stepped into an elevator and met someone who thought nobody important was listening." Daniel laughed quietly. "I was just talking to myself." "No," Evelyn replied. "You were speaking from your heart." She continued. "You didn't complain about your life. You didn't blame anyone. You simply wanted a chance." She paused before adding, "That's the kind of person every company needs." Years passed. Daniel earned promotions through hard work and compassion. New employees often came to him for advice. Whenever someone felt nervous before an interview, Daniel always smiled and shared the same lesson. You never know who's listening. But more importantly, always be yourself. Lily grew healthier. She watched her father become someone many people admired. One evening she asked, "Dad, do you think kindness really changes lives?" Daniel smiled. "It changed ours." He looked out the window and remembered that quiet elevator ride. One kind stranger had chosen to listen instead of ignore him. One moment of compassion had opened a door that qualifications alone never could. Kindness doesn't always arrive with applause or recognition. Sometimes it stands quietly beside us in an elevator, listening to our fears, our hopes, and our dreams. We may never know who is watching or whose heart we might touch with simple honesty. So the next time life gives you a chance to encourage someone, listen with compassion, or offer a few kind words, take it. You could be changing a life forever, just as one quiet conversation changed Daniel's. And if this story reminded you that kindness still has the power to transform the world, carry that kindness into your own life today, because even the smallest act of compassion can become the beginning of someone's greatest blessing.